Beginning of my video. Boom!
Welcome back to Boring Reviews.
Boring land.
Oh, just kidding.
Blasphemer!
Hello,
right.
Boring Review Nation!
Kind of pointless.
We know all things. It was over in a snap.
We really want it. Alright, we'll be nice.
Only you can be a Patreon.
It's crazy.
You don't need to follow the show to be hyped.
All right, welcome back to Boring Reviews. Nick here, and I am excited to give you my review for the film Bhaag, Milkha, Bhaag. I'm sorry it's a solo review and not a joint review, but we are just so crazy busy with different things. Our spring break's over, and so we are back to work. But I was able to get in this movie before spring break was over, and I'm ready to talk to you about it today. Before I do, don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you're new to our channel, subscribe. Check out our t-shirts below. We have a link to our store. You can see those different things right there. We have a few designs up there right now. Go ahead and see what we have and see if there's anything that you got to have as a part of Boring Review Nation. Don't forget to check out our Patreon and our other videos that we have when you're done with this one, other reviews. We have a whole playlist with all of our movie reviews in one place for you and film series reviews. Sit back and relax. But with all that being said, let's get into Bhaag, Milkha, Bhaag, which translates into Run, Milkha, Run. So this is a sports movie. I got my sports shirts on, the Chargers. No longer San Diego, they're Los Angeles. I got my college basketball hat on from the Rebels. This is a sports movie. I love sports movies. It's one of my favorite genres of film. I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but it's one of my favorites. My favorite sports movies of all time. We're talking Field of Dreams, a baseball movie. Remember the Titans, a football movie. We're talking so many other sports films that I can't think of right now. Even kids films like Rookie of the Year, Little Big League, Major League. So many good sports films. And this is one that I have been told in the comment section when we reacted to the trailer many months ago. It's on Hotstar, so now we're able to watch it. And even recently, people were saying, we did MS Dhoni, you got to watch this. This is one of the best sports movies of all time. And so it put the expectation level for me super high, which is never really a good thing because you go in with such high expectations. I knew from the trailer reaction this is about a track and field runner. Honestly, not one of my favorite sports. Probably because I'm so slow and so I can't relate to those kind of athletes. But I went into this film with a lot of expectations. I want to start off by talking about the main actor who played Milkha Singh. He was played, and it should be this first guy right here, Farhan Akhtar. Now, this guy is super impressive. Not only did he portray this character so beautifully, he was so likable. Even when he was playing a low-life thief and criminal earlier in his life, he is so likable. He did such a great job. I mean, just the physicality. This guy, I would argue that no one has ever gotten in the kind of shape this guy got in. Maybe Hugh Jackman, but he's on that level. There's not an ounce of fat on this guy's body. He's got muscles upon muscles, but he's not steroid bulked out. I mean, I believe that he did all of that. I'm not sure if it's a transformation. Maybe he's always in this kind of shape. But this guy is in unbelievable shape. I believe he did that just by protein shakes and maybe 6 or 8 hours in the gym a day. This guy is in phenomenal shape. It's unbelievable. His abs have got 6-pack abs on top of that. He's like a 12-pack. This guy is out of control. But he plays the character so well. And he makes you believe that he is a world-class sprinter, that the issues he's going through with where he was from originally and where he's at now, he portrays that so wonderfully. I can't say enough about this guy. And then I started reading more about him. Like, okay, what other movies has this guy been in? He hasn't been in a lot of movies because this guy traditionally is a producer and a director. I mean, how crazy is that? This guy, I believe, one of the movies he directed was a movie that we just reacted to a scene, Dil Chata Hai. I want to say that's him. This guy is incredibly talented and not just in front of the camera. I would love to see this guy some more in front of the camera, but he has got skills all over the place. I just want to double check before I sound like an idiot that he did direct that film that I said he directed, because he's on, yeah, there it is, Dil Chata Hai. He also directed Lakshaya. I've not seen that. Dawn, The Chase Begins Again. I think that's a remake from a Big B film. Positive, he directed. Let me know if things are good. Dawn 2, I've heard a lot about Dawn 2. I got to check that out, but I guess I got to watch the first one first. We get requested that all the time. and then he started producing a lot of films. He produced Gully Boy. That's the thing. I saw his name a credit on IMDb for Gully Boy. I'm like, who is he in Gully Boy? He was a producer. This guy is so talented. So he was awesome. I would love to see him in more films. I wonder if he'll get typecast in this role because this film was so successful. This film not only made a whole bunch of money, but made the country of India proud. And it's just such a successful film. And I wonder if he's going to get typecast because of it. I mean, this guy's 46 years old. This movie was made years ago, but still he's like 39 when it was made. Again, this guy's in amazing shape. So this movie starts, for the most part, it gives us a little clip at the beginning, then it goes back. Starts back when he was born in Pakistan during the partition of India in 1947. A lot of chaos was going on and a lot of violence. And so because of that, he became a refugee. And he was in India, and he has a lot of issues. And he's being raised by his sister, kind of. He's getting caught up in the wrong crowd. He lives that life for the longest time. He's going to be like a bandit for the rest of his life. And then he decides that he's going to go into the military. And in real life, a lot of that happened. I think it was his older brother who had survived the violence in the partition of India who had convinced him to go into the military. But eventually he goes to the military, and that's where he begins to straighten his life. In the military, they have these running trials, and he makes the running team. And that's how he gets his foot in the door for running for India. He sees these guys with India jackets. I want one of those. And so he trains, and he has skills, and he is running and running and running. That's where our story takes place. It starts off, and it goes on. This movie is very well paced. Very, very well paced. Director, screenwriter did a great job of pacing this film. I did not feel lost whatsoever as I was watching this film. I felt like I knew what was going on, even though different language, obviously, in dialogue. I felt like I knew what was going on. This movie is grounded in a lot of reality. This is not a lovey-dovey, make you feel great sports movie like, oh, that was cheesy or oh, that was weird. This is very much grounded in reality, and it does make you feel great. This makes you feel really good, but it's not overly cheesy. It's not cheesy at all. This is a very grounded film, like a sports drama. It really is, with great acting. And there's silly parts that happen. I mean, this guy's obsessed with milk, but it's very much a drama sports film than it is a comedy, than it is a family film, even though the whole family can watch it no problem. But the things that this guy went through, and I'm guessing this movie stuck really close as much as it could to what happened in real life, was taking some liberties. The things this runner went through to get to the top was phenomenal. And Gabe talks about it all the time, that we don't see how much work these athletes put in to get to where they're at that top tier. And I know if he was doing this review with me, if he saw the movie, he'd be saying that exact thing. He put in so much work to get to where he was, to get to where he got to. And if you look at his Wikipedia page, and it's going to be a huge spoiler, but this movie's been out since 2013, he has no Olympic golds. He has no Olympic medals whatsoever. He did get gold in a Commonwealth Games, which was the first Indian to do so, I think, ever at that time. There's only been one since. But you're not going to see these huge awards, 3-time Olympian medalist, blah, blah, blah. But what he achieved and the races he won, the things he did, and the places he went from where he came from was nothing short of remarkable. I was really impressed with the young Milkha Singh. He did a fantastic job. I'm trying to find his name here. And I thought it was funny that Milkha's coach's name was Ranveer Singh. I'm a huge Ranveer Singh fan. That was pretty funny and pretty cool. Here we go. Japtej Singh as young Milkha Singh. He did a great job. And he did a great job portraying that character because he had a lot of material he had to work with, a lot of heavy stuff, a lot of emotional stuff, a lot of... When you get to the end of the movie, because the whole time he has witnessed what happened to his parents. They died, but they don't show it to you until near the very, very end as he's trying to tackle these issues that he has before this big race. When that young actor had to play that part and react to that, that was powerful. This guy did a phenomenal job. A lot of props to him. When they showed that, I'm going to jump right to it. When they show the whoosh, that was absolutely bananas. That was done so well because the head actually starts to move as it's decapitated. And the VFX for that shot was fantastic. And we're talking about 7 years ago, which doesn't seem like that long, but you know, if you love movies, VFX in 7 years is like 30 years in real life, because the advances in technology just get better every single year. That was a great shot. And I was not expecting something that dramatic. Maybe that's not where it's a family film, but the rest, and even maybe like the whole sequence, because they show you him discovering where the family's at when they're dead, and just bodies laid out, just left there like nobody cares, and he's trying to crawl on. I mean, that was a hard scene to watch, but a very powerful scene, and the actor did phenomenal. We have a lot of other characters in this film. We have, like I said, Ranveer Singh is his coach, played by Yagaraj Singh. He was fantastic. He was that typical earlier coach, like a lot of these athletes have. They have that high school football coach or college coach or whatever before they get into that major league coach. And this guy did a great job, and he was there with Milkha Singh the entire time. I love whenever he would dance, and he'd get so excited, and he would celebrate, and he passed baton to the more advanced coach for the professionals, and he was totally cool about it. There was some great speeches that he gave to Milkha Singh in this film. That character was great. I really liked the end, the line about the flying Sikh, that the Pakistan, I think, Prime Minister, I liked how they portrayed him. In a film like this, where you have these cultural differences between Pakistan and India, and history, and a lot of bad blood. I don't want to get too much into politics. I don't want to start an outrage in the comment section. But I felt like they did a very respectful job portraying that, telling history, but not being overhanded. And when they get to that last race in Pakistan, when Pakistan and India is trying to mend their relationship, and I'm sure that happened in real life, the way that they portrayed the Pakistan Prime Minister, I thought was very classy and very respectable. Very respectable. I liked so much of this movie. There was parts where when I watch a sports movie, just like when I watch a historical film, I want to cheer. I want to root. I want to get that moment at the end where I'm crying and I'm excited and I'm clapping inside and I'm shouting inside. And this movie definitely gave that to me several times throughout the movie, but especially at the end. But I will say, one of my complaints is going to be, and a lot of biopics fall into this problem, and it was one of the reasons I really liked MS Dhoni a lot. There's this temptation to have, in the plot line, the plot arc, bring the audience down and down, failure after failure after failure, so we can see that this character gets up and the triumph is even bigger. I feel like a lot of filmmakers say if we have a lot of the mistakes that happen, and everyone has mistakes, and a lot of the big time failures and excruciating tragedies, then that's going to make that ending scene more sweet. And maybe it's true, but for me, when I'm watching this film that's between 2.5 to 3 hours long, I don't want to see an hour and 45 minutes of failures. And I just felt like it was heavy-handedness on that. It was overdone with how long they spent on the failure. I have no problem with having failures. That happens in real life all the time. But how long we spent in that depressed area, that failure time, compared to the successes he had and how little time we had, except for the end, but everything else, the little time, I personally, it's an issue for me personally. I don't like that. I want to see a nice balance. I will cheer just as loud if you give me that balance amount than if you gave me a whole lot of failures and a little bit of success. For me, it doesn't work that way. Again, if that character doesn't have a lot of successes, then fine. But this guy had so many successes that went on. There's a typical love story that happens near the middle of this film. This guy, for the most part, we never see him really with the woman at all. That's not part of the story. He was married in real life, and he had kids and all that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to say that, but we have this love story, and it kind of takes up too much time. And I have no problem with romance, you know that, but when it doesn't really need to be in this movie, we don't really need to have it. And so when we spent a lot of time on this romance, and it was cute the way they did it with the water, and he's waiting with her with his little kid friends that, he's bossing around. They got all the buckets of water waiting for her, and they had the cricket ball. I thought was really cool. He hollowed out, and they did the note. I thought that was all very sweet and very clever. I had not seen that before. But we spent too much time on that because it gets to a point where that love interest doesn't pan out for us. She ends up being married to someone else, and we're sure that she loved Milkha Singh and she didn't want to marry, and it was just her father's decision. But I'm like, really? We spent all that time with her for this? And I get, again, there's that failure after failure, mistake after mistake, issue after issue. But that was one of my biggest complaints, was that love story. It was pretty pointless in this movie, especially since there was no payoff. Another issue was he didn't really have too many people to go against. They had given us that Pakistan runner for him to go against, and I guess that was his rival. But his main rival was himself, and I have no problem with man versus self, which is a very common, one of the 4 main conflict choices in storytelling. That's what this movie really was him dealing with his own demons. And I thought they did a good job of us not knowing what the demons were and then escalate and slowly getting to that and pacing us. That was done very nicely. I have no problem with that. But I would like to see him have more of a rival. The few rivals that they had, and maybe he was just that much better than they were, they went to dirty tricks, or he stumbled on a rock that just, or a piece of glass, or whatever it was, that happened to be right at the finish line, or he looked around behind him too soon. I mean, this guy had some unfortunate things that happened, but it seemed like when his game was on, I mean, he was on. I want to know that when he had all of those holes in his legs, oh, that was so tough to watch. And he does a run with the bandages on. I want to know if that was real life, because if that was, I mean, this guy's Superman. To run with that kind of injury and succeed was phenomenal. There was a lot of humanizing done in this film in a very good way. A lot of these characters, we get enough of their character arc for it to be humanized. Even the friend that we see near the end when he goes back to his hometown and he's struggling through all that, they gave him a little bit of a story arc, and they gave him a son and all that kind of stuff. And, hey, is this you on the picture? Is this you on the picture? And that helped him remind himself who he was and what he was there to do. The storytelling element was done very, very well, with the exception of the romance, the love story. But the acting was fantastic. The music was great. Some of the songs weren't my favorite, though. My favorite song, oddly enough, and when I watched it, I'm like, this is really out of place, was the song when they are in like basic training and they're in the military. And because this actor is a great dancer, at least I think he is. He was very on point with his movements and his arms. When they were doing that song with the other people, the other guys in the military, it was very odd and it was very random. But the singing and the music and the dancing was what made it my favorite song in the movie. Other than that, the rest of the songs, for the most part, were forgettable. They weren't that great, but the score was very good. And this is a film that you can really get triumphant feelings from. You can really cheer for, and I love that in a sports movie. This is overall a very, very good film. There was just a few parts that kind of slowed things down for me, and then it picked it back up because the guy who really sells it is our main character, played by Farhan. He was phenomenal. I would love to see him more films as that lead role because he did a great job. And so overall, I love this movie quite a bit. You guys were right. This is a great film. I don't really have too many complaints at all besides a few that I mentioned. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to mention. Gut-wrenching parts of the movie, which make for a good movie. It let me cheer, maybe a little too much on the negative side, but that's okay. I liked how, even though his friend in the military, that story was done, we do see him near the end when he comes back as an officer and he's ready for his race and he's famous. I thought that was cool that they showed him there. A lot of times directors will just forget about that character and we're like, well, what happened to him? We don't know what happened to him. He's still there in the military. And I also love how when he's running, that was the other thing I want to mention. When he's doing that final run and they have everyone listening on the radio or watching on TV if they're lucky to, but most of them listening on the radio, that was really cool. These towns, these villages coming together and setting up all the wires for the radio and the speakers so they can all listen to it. That made that ending even more powerful. That's where the director really shines in this movie, at building up that moment of triumph and that moment of cheering, because you really start to feel it. And, you know, I've seen it before in Cinderella Man, but it still is a powerful thing when they're listening to the radio waves and you're getting their reaction. You know, we're a reaction channel. People watch us just for our reactions. You get their reaction to those characters portraying those real life people, and it was fantastic. And it was a lot of fun. I did some research on the character, on the person himself, Milkha Singh, afterwards, and he seemed like a very strong person, a phenomenal person. There was a point in his life where he didn't accept an award because he didn't believe that it had much prestige and that he didn't really earn it. Very, very cool. Love this movie. Thanks so much for pushing me to watch it. I'm so glad that I did. I'm going to give this film an easy A. Yes, an A. Not an A+, because I had a few issues with it, but not too many. But this gets an easy A. This is a great sports film, played by a great actor, in my opinion, even though he's very talented behind the camera as well. Well, there's my review. Let me know what you think about Bhaag, Run, Milkha, Run. Let me know what your thoughts are. I have a feeling that you love it, and you're probably still upset with my grade. Why did you not give it an A+? Because this is such a popular film. But as always, those are my honest thoughts. I hope you enjoyed my review, and if you didn't, let me know why in a respectful way. I hope you guys are all staying safe, and you guys are all happy, and you're able to survive through this quarantine time. I've gotten a few comments and emails about how people are really struggling during this time. My heart pours out to you. We'll get through this somehow, some way. Just stay tough and check out your favorite YouTube channels, and don't forget to come back for some more, because we're always posting more videos. Until next time, adios.